in the last one because I'm using my phone. So whenever I get a spam call or anything, it mutes. So this will be lecture 3, part 2. It's part 2 today. If you want to check out what we were saying earlier, I'll link it in the comments below, or you can go back and look for it. But I was just saying at the end of that video, and I don't want to lose my train of thought, so I hopped right back on. She was saying that, any planet, whether outer or inner, we're reading Liz Green and the Outer Planets, by the way, a book study. Any planet that's not aspected is sort of like in the person's psyche in the basement, but the person doesn't even know that there is a basement in the house. And I was sort of saying to me, that sounds more like a planet that's not aspected in an intercepted house would be more that. I think that the owner of the house would be aware of the basement. They just wouldn't be aware of the occupant in the basement, more like the movie Parasite, sort of wrapping up that thought I was having at the end. If you want to check out what we were talking about in regards to that, we're going to keep reading here, but you can also check out lecture 3, part 1. Again, I'll link it in the comments in the description. I'll link the playlist and it'll be in there. But that will be the title. It'll be lecture 3, part 1. There's 7 lectures in this book. All right, and just in case you're just joining us now, do be sure to check out moonmatch.love if you're single and looking, or even if you know someone. I know a lot of you date online nowadays, so why not look for a good astrological match, especially if you're watching something like this in-depth on astrology. If you go to moonmatch.love, you enter the database. It's only $8 to enter. Right now, if you use my coupon code rotation411 in conjunction with the coupon code, I think it's on there. It's like for Thanksgiving, it's Thanks 2024. They're not always able to be used in conjunction, so that's sort of the special this month. You can get like almost 50% off. Definitely do it. Maybe you'll have a date for Christmas or New Year's if you do it now. I'm just like, we need more people in there. We've already found a lot of matches, but there's plenty of people waiting for their matches. So definitely go check it out. Just with the entry, you can auto search and see if you have a match. All right. Anyways. Where were we? Okay. The tenant has always been there. She's talking about unaspected planets, but the occupant has no idea of his existence. Occasionally, there's a knock or two at night in one's dreams, but otherwise, it's very quiet. The occupant doesn't even know there is a basement in the house, let alone someone living in it. Then one day, the tenant decides to emerge, so he suddenly throws open the door to the living room, or equally frequently, just crashes through the floorboards. And then he has to be reckoned with. And sometimes he takes possession of the entire house and ties up the occupant helplessly in the chair. I think that would be in a chair. I think that would be more of an outer planet doing that. But when the unaspected planet is an outer planet, then it's in many ways much more critical. Yeah, because it's so difficult to establish a dialogue with something collective. It can seem so potent and alien. An unaspected Venus which erupts may plunge the person into compulsive erotic or emotional states. But eventually these can be accommodated into his life. But Neptune and Pluto are too archetypal, too mythical. This conjunction in Hitler's chart is not likely to be easily integrated through a creative medium. All these notifications popping up here. And a little reflection on the state of the personal planets in the chart suggests that there are many areas of personal blockages and hurt and negativity that would make it doubly difficult to integrate something so powerful. Hey, Rena, thank you for the love. Hi, Z, Nay, Birme. Hi, Deepak. Thanks for joining us. We're just continuing on in the book, The Outer Planets and Their Cycles. It's written by Liz Green. If you want to check her work out, she's written plenty of books, but you can go to astro.com and she does the horoscopes on there. It's pretty cool. She's the first astrologist. She created it in the 1980s. I was reading it today to actually make where the horoscopes are modified, so it's not just positive aspect, negative aspect, positive. She made it more tailored, so it's all congruent in a sort of what's that word, automated way. And that's what we did with divinetimingdatabase.org, the moon match, the astrology dating app. It's all automated, so you're only matched with people that you have no deal breakers with and good moon aspects. So like if you go to pattern and you can see sort of your synastry with people there, but it's confusing because it shows you all the negative stuff, and you can look it up with anyone on there. But on moonmatch.love, it will only match you with people you have the best aspects with, and you can go in and look at the synastry charts with that person before you even decide to reach out to them. So it's pretty cool. Hi, Hama. Thank you. Good morning. Okay, I say grand rising because someone said good morning is like, it's all semantics. It could be your morning, the lost. So I like to say grand rising soul tribe, like all the cool, esoteric people do. But there is real truth to power in that. So anyways, we're talking about Hitler's birth chart this morning, but we're talking about The Outer Planets by Liz Green. So we're seeing, what happened here with him. All right. So she's saying, but Neptune and Pluto are two archetypal, two mythical. There's a Neptune-Pluto conjunction in Hitler's birth chart that's not aspected. This conjunction in his chart is not likely to be easily integrated, and a little reflection on the state of the personal planets in the chart suggests there are many areas of personal blockage and hurt and negativity. Okay, so what is likely to happen is that the grandiose mythic vision of Pluto Neptune feeds into the personal feelings of inferiority and rejection and infant I always say infantilism, or infantilism I like to say, but she says infantility of the personal feelings of them. Okay. Oh, hold on, that's a big mouthful. Okay. What is likely to happen is that the grandiose mythic vision of Pluto Neptune feeds into the personal feelings of inferiority and rejection and infantility of the Mars Venus in square to Saturn. Ooh, I didn't notice that. He has a Mars Venus. Hold on. What? He has a Mars Venus conjunction exact to almost to the minute, you guys. The exact degree. Wow, that's very interesting. And it's in Taurus. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to say this in a nice way because I don't want to offend my Tauruses. Taurus, okay, if any sign is, Taurus rules sort of, okay, Taurus's shadow side would be gluttony. Like on the good side, it'd be like discipline and strength and kind of routine and being able to deal with the grind and monotony. Like they're real powerhouses. But on the shadow side, Taurus can rule kind of greed and gluttony because it is a second house, which is food intake and things like that, and money. It rules money. So a Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Libra more in the relational sense. And so Venus in Taurus with Mars, because Mars is very impulsive, could create someone who is quite not only impulsive with Mars. Well, actually, Mars and Taurus would slow the compulsions, the impulsiveness of Mars down, but it's somebody who could, I mean, especially if Rahu's there. Where's his North Node? I don't know if his North Node's in this chart. Man, I would like to look that up now. If he has his North Node right in there, that could create someone who has a very insatiable appetite that's very impulsive. So that can not just be in the way of food. That can also be, in other ways. But anyways, I'll think on that and I'll get back to you guys when we do, lecture 3, part 3, if I have any epiphanies, because I don't want to get too far off here. But anyways, we'll see what Liz Green says about it. Where were we? Okay. I think, okay, so of the Mars-Venus conjunction, and so I do think this Mars dash thing she's doing is a conjunction, but if you've been watching the other videos, I get a little confused, but with just the way it's written here, it says like Mars dash Venus, so that does mean conjunction. Mars-Venus conjunction is square to Saturn and swells it up like a toad. Now, Saturn square Venus and Mars in synastry, I think I consider Saturn square Mars in synastry. That's when you have two people, one's Saturn square and the other's Mars. I feel that that is a deal breaker divorce aspect. I don't see it in couples lasting more than 4 or 5 years. I see them get married and divorced with it. But with Venus square Saturn, I do see that in long term couples. But it's depending on the other aspects, it can work well, give like real security, especially if people have a lot of Capricorn or Saturn heavy charts. But for a lot of people, it can be very restrictive and confining. Um, I know someone right now who has a Venus Mars conjunction and is divorcing someone whose Saturn is square that. And I'm like, you just have to break this contract. Like Saturn is contracts. And it's like the more that they try to push up against that Saturn person, it's almost as bad as like a Pluto square Saturn divorce. It's just like the Venus Mars person is just getting squeezed out. Every resource of Venus, all the love, just anything that Mars tries to do to sort of counteract Saturn. Saturn always wins because Saturn is much more powerful than Mars. And so it's just like constantly going to blows. Well, Saturn's just trying to suck all the joy out of this person's life, the Venus. So I don't recommend Venus square Saturn in synastry, but if the chart is really, really good, aside from that, I would say it's worth dealing with because it will ground and anchor you. It's just, if you have any other divorce aspects like Mars square Saturn, getting out of Venus square Saturn is not fun. So don't get with someone you have Venus square Saturn with if either A, you have other malefic divorce aspects and will have to go through tearing apart that Venus square Saturn, or B, if you don't think you're going to be with the person forever, because Venus square Saturn is a very hard one to get out of. So imagine having this in your birth chart. This actually, I'm going to say this because we're talking about Hitler here. It doesn't make me empathize for him, but it makes me see where he was quite miserable. Like having that in your birth chart, not all of you are going to be miserable people, but it could make you quite a miserable person. And misery loves company, right? So it's like anytime you might have happiness, this is just me sort of going out of the synastry part and going to the natal part, not even him so much, but like say you have a Venus Mars conjunction in your birth chart and you come to me and I go, man, you have one of the best things in Vedic astrology. This is really, really good. You'll probably always be in a relationship in your life if you want to be. But if you have Saturn square that, you might always be in a relationship, but those relationships are always burdens to you. You always have to carry the weight, or they feel like, oh, it's like one of those marriages where you're like, yeah, we're married, like one of you was saying to me the other day. Oh, thank you, Sushant, for the blowing the kisses there, I think. All right, so anyways, I kind of want to get on what she's saying more, but I'm on a whole tangent here. So okay, feed into the person. Okay, and rejection and infantility of Mars conjunct Venus and square to Saturn and swells it up like a toad. I think it is very much like that. Very much like what in medieval times would have been called a state of possession. Yes, Saturn could be very possessive of Venus, Mars there. Also, I'm looking at, the one good thing he has going on is his Jupiter and Moon, especially his Jupiter and his South Node. Oh, there's where the North and South Node are trining his Venus Mars conjunction. So that might have helped a little bit. But that would, where's Saturn? No, yeah, so Saturn would have been quindecile, that, and one quick other thing. So his North Node is in, because I was saying something about that, Cancer. Oh, there we go, 16 degrees Cancer. You guys can see the chart here. Here's the North Node. It's like I looked, but the symbols are a little bit, they're kind of like in a cool font, so I didn't quite catch that. So kind of close to the midheaven. Is that? So his midheaven's Leo, which brings fame. Pretty much anyone with a midheaven in Leo is going to be, if they're not famous on a massive scale, they're going to be quite popular. Also, his ascendant is 27 degrees Libra. Oh my gosh. Okay. So if you guys go back a few videos, I don't remember which one, I think it was part of lecture 2 or the end of lecture 1, we were talking about Kamala Harris because we started this right before the election in the United States. And I said Kamala Harris' her sun like sits at 27 degrees Libra. And Anna Nicole Smith, I had just watched her documentary on Netflix. Her ascendant is 27 degrees Libra. That's the same ascendant as Hitler, I just figured out. So I was saying to you guys, and now I can't think of what it's called. Starts with an A. There's a point at 29 degrees. It's called the starts, it's in the other videos. I can Google it really quick. But there's a point at 29 degrees, and I don't know. I think honestly, because some of the, when you Google, you don't always get accurate stuff on astrology. There's a lot of fluff out there. So when you Google it, I honestly think it came up as 27. So either it's enough influence at 27 degrees from 29, you know, because that's a 2-degree orb, or it might actually be 27 degrees. But 29-degree point is called, let me just remember what the word is so I can explain it. The anaretic degree. And this can bring fame, but in an infamous way, kind of like Rahu could do, which is the North Node. So it says it's a fate degree, and it's considered problematic. It can be defined as a peak. It's the final point that a degree can reach before moving to another sign, or being on the cusp of another sign within a 3-degree orb. So it's very interesting because Libra deals with relationships and the others, okay? And it's the it's one-on-one relationships more so. So like 7th house is Libra, but when the ascendant is the 7th house, it's like a reverse natural chart. So the others now become prominent on your, as your identity. So it can be a point of fame. But Kamala Harris had it, and I told you guys, and I was being apolitical. Like, I wasn't predicting that she wouldn't win. I was just saying that if she didn't win, it was going to be because she got to this point because of 27 degrees Libra. It's a fame point, a fate point. She was meant to get this far, to be known in the public eye. But the loss comes because it's problematic. So it's not necessarily a winning point. It's just a being well-known point, especially, I guess, in the sign of Libra. So Hitler's ascendant is also 27 degrees Libra. And I'm saying this as like, Libra risings are usually pretty cordial. But this 27 degrees, so it's as bad of a person as he was, the reason that he was sort of able to charm some of the masses, not all of them, and win their favor was actually the gregarious Libra rising. That's what made people trust him initially. And so it really has nothing to do with they're similar. It's just there is a charm. I always say Libra is the most charming sign. I've always said Libra and Cancer to me personally, maybe because my midheaven is in Cancer and my father's ascendant was in Cancer. Maybe it's me personally that finds Cancers to be extremely charming, but I do feel that Cancers can be quite charmers for whatever reason. And same with Libras. They're just sort of the ones that can really like, and I don't even want to say schmooze because it almost makes it sound like I'm saying it in a bad way, but they are the ones that can straight schmooze people without people even realizing it. You know, it's like I'm a Libra rising and I don't look my best today, but on a good day, it's like I can just, oh yes, I'm very, you know, I mean, I'm an Aries, so I definitely have a fiery side, but I can definitely look like I'm the most cordial person, you know, when I'm operating in my Libra ascendant. So I'm not saying like he's a good person. I'm just saying his Libra ascendant very well could have masked that. Now this 27 degrees point is a problematic point. So I don't feel for Kamala Harris it really has done her wrong. I just feel like that may be why she would get so far along and then lose. You know what I mean? So same thing with Anna Nicole Smith. Like, she got really far ahead in life, and she's more like on the vein of it, in a way, a questionable way though. And some people even said that with Kamala, like, well, you know, she was very young and dating a much older politician, and that's how she got her foot in the door. And I'm not, so there's sort of an infamy that comes with it too. There just so happened to be a lot of journalists in San Francisco at the time writing about it, you know, pointing it out. Like, if a lot of people, especially I noticed like with Capricorns, because they're sort of the ones that can, they're about reputation and rising to the top. So on a shadow side of a Capricorn, and I'm not trying to bash any of you because I know I have followers of all signs, I notice Capricorns can kind of get away with that, where they can kind of ride coattails and no one really notices. They're just like, oh, because they are very organized, structured, disciplined, and they offer a lot. So it's like no one's going to question when they're a 22-year-old Capricorn is all of a sudden at the top of the game. But you know, there, you know, it could have happened where Kamala could have been sort of a very young woman getting her foot in the door, dating an older politician, and no one would have noticed or written about it, and it would have been forgotten. But because of this infamy point, 27 degrees Libra, it did get brought back up. Now, I don't think it's why she lost. As far as, her dating Willie Brown, I don't think that's why she lost. I'm just saying that 27 degrees is why you would get so far and then lose. So, same with Hitler. He tried to dominate the world and he made a lot of progress, but he lost ultimately. Same with Anna Nicole Smith. She married a billionaire. Like, who wouldn't want to marry a billionaire? And I think at the time there was only 4 or 9 billionaires. I'm not saying it like it's an ambition of mine. I'm just saying, like, these people did things that are much, being a vice president and being a presidential nominee at the forefront, dominating countries, marrying a billionaire. Like, these are all things that the average person is never going to do in their life. But at the end of the day, and I'm not saying Kamala won't come back and maybe win it in the future. At the end of the day, though, when they got to the top, they ultimately lost. They didn't actually, Anna Nicole Smith never got that money. And I'm not saying that was her ultimate goal in life either. I'm just saying they were able to do things way beyond what an average person can do, but ultimately failed at it because of that 27 degrees. I almost should look if there is a 27 degrees point in itself, but I do feel it's this anaretic degree that's typically 29 degrees. I think that's what's doing it to them. It's just interesting to me that it's all at 27 degrees. And I had this big thing about 27s a few years ago. It was driving me nuts. So I do think maybe there's yet to be discovered something at 27 degrees that I'm sort of hitting on. But I don't know. In astrology, it seems everything has been discovered. You guys totally left me. I'm getting too passionate. But sometimes it says you're not in here and you are. So 27 degrees. My battery is getting very low, so it might click off. So we might have to wrap it up soon here. Astrology. It's a Gemini degree. And then, Libra is friendly to Gemini. So it's associated with transformative energies, symbolizes maturity and readiness for change. If prominent in your chart, it could indicate significant life transitions and growth. So I don't know. I think there's something more to 27 degrees. But once I figure it out, I'll let you guys know. So Chitty put like loading signs, which has just been confusing me because I keep looking at it. Yeah, my brain's getting a little tired. This really does wear me out, and we're getting close to an hour if we include part 1. I don't want to totally drain myself for today, but I do think I'll start getting on earlier in the day, because if I don't, then the day just sort of flies by on me. But we're gonna leave off on lecture 3, so we'll pick up lecture 3 part 3 tomorrow. If you want to hop in, I'm sending you guys all lots of love, blessings, and light. If you ever want a personal birth chart reading from me, or synastry, if you're looking at romance, you can go to rotation411.com. All right, thank you. Love and light.